Hello, everyone. How is everyone today? I pray all is well and that you're doing all that you can to be safe and to keep healthy. I just wanted to come on to share some educational tips with all you parents out there. This segment is entitled Power for Parents. Me being a parent myself, even though my son is all grown up now, but I remember when he was younger that I was often unsure as to how to help with his education. I was always afraid that what I would teach him at home would contradict with the methods that the teachers were teaching in school, and that I would somehow wreck his education. But I want to encourage you parents that every little bit helps. There's nothing that you can do at home that's going to be so terrible that it's going to outweigh the positive aspects of you working with your child. In fact, as a teacher, I know that when a student comes into the classroom, the teacher is looking for prior knowledge. That means we want to know, what does that child already know? So we take that information and we build upon it. It guides our instruction. So the more experiences your child has, the more you teach them and work with them at home, the better. And I also wanted to remind you parents that you are your child's first teacher. You know your child better than anyone. Your child looks up to you in so many ways. They want to spend time with you. But what better way to spend that quality time than to get involved in your child's education? Plus, it sends the message that education is important, and we all know that it is. So with all that being said, let's get started. I am going to share some read aloud tips with you today. Since I do a lot of read alouds on Wonderworks with Miss Freeman, I want to share some tips with you that you can use at home. So the first tip is you want to make sure that the atmosphere is conducive for a good reading experience. So you want to pick a quiet, comfy place with minimal distractions so that your child can hear what's being read and that you can keep their attention. So that's the first thing. You want a good atmosphere. Second thing I want to share is it's good to read or read aloud more than one time. I say at least 3 times, and I'll tell you why. And you don't necessarily want to read it all in one day. So you may read aloud on Monday, and then read it again on Wednesday, and then read it again on Friday. The first read is mostly for sheer enjoyment. We are trying to create a love of learning in that child. So we want to pick stories that your child's interest. So you want to pick a book that you know they'll be interested in, or a book that will draw them in. And when you're reading the story, you want to keep in mind that you want to make that story come alive. So feel free to be as animated as you feel comfortable with. But even though you may not feel comfortable being animated, you don't feel like you can really make a story come alive, that's okay. Just reading to your child yields great benefits because they're being exposed to language and they're spending time with you. So that's always a plus. All right, that's the first read. Oh, and on the first read, you can ask questions, but do not pepper your child with questions because it takes away from the enjoyment of the story. You can model questions so that your child learns to form those questions in their head while they're reading and while they're listening to other stories. For example, I wonder what the character is thinking. I wonder why they did that. I wonder what will happen next, like that. But very minimal and not even really expecting maybe an answer from your child. The answer, great. But you're modeling for him the thoughts that should be going on in their head. All right, that's the first read. Second read, you can begin to ask more in-depth questions, what we call in the education field, open-ended questions. And these questions are questions that require more than a yes or no answer. The who, what, when, where, why, how questions. You can ask your child directly while you're reading the story. For example, why did the character do that? Why does the character look that way? Their expressions on their face. Why do they look that way? How do you think they're feeling? Questions like that. And these questions help children form connections and to extract deeper meaning from a reading. And you also want to choose books sometimes that the child can connect to their real life experiences. For example, if you choose a book about a child with their pet and your child has a pet, some of the things that take place in that book, you can connect them to experiences that the child has had in real life. Okay, get it? Alrighty. All right, now for the third read, you all see me looking over here because I have notes. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. On the third read, this allows the child to get what he or she didn't get possibly on the first and second read. And it gives the parents an opportunity to assess whether the child really understood the story. Okay, and it also gives the child an opportunity to explain parts of the story back to you. So you want to ask the child questions like, what happened at the beginning of the story? What happened at the end of the story? Tell me something that happened in the middle of the story, like that. Okay, so that allows the child not only to practice the receptive language, like what they're taking in from the read aloud. So they take what they have up here and they can bring it out here. They're practicing their expressive language. Can they take what's up here and bring it out here? It helps them become more articulate, which is always a plus. Okay. I believe that is all of the tips that I have. If I forgot anything, it will be listed on my page. I'm going to post these tips on my page so that you all can refer back to it and you don't have to watch this video again. You can just go to Wonderworks with Miss Freeman and you can refer to it at any time. Everything will be there. And if I forgot anything, it'll be on there. All right, you guys, thanks for your time. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.